After 12 years of planning, scrapping, and planning again, Qatar was finally given the green flag to host the 2022 FIFA Men's World Cup. And boy, what a show! They nailed that opening ceremony and then went on to lose to Ecuador. We kind of expected that. However, it wasn't an easy road, and we saw many controversies brewing while executing this global event. In this video of when, where, how, we will take you through 7 controversies around the FIFA 2022 World Cup. Number 1. For their opening ceremony, they approached Shakira, Rod Stewart, and 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗧 with a huge budget. But they all turned it down because they felt uncomfortable performing in a country that was biased towards the LGBTQ community. Well, too bad, since we'd loved to see these stars take the show. Especially Shakira, since she's so closely associated with FIFA. Not that we didn't like 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗏. He's equally amazing. The country is host to one of the biggest anti-LGBTQ campaigns. So much so that their World Cup ambassador went on record to say that homosexuality is a disease of the brain. No wonder people are so angry at watching Qatar host this year's World Cup. Sports is all about coming together and standing in unity. And it looks like Qatar wasn't the right choice for either of these sentiments. Number 2. If you've ever visited the Middle East, you'd know that their summers are to kill for. Literally. The temperature checks up to 45 degrees, which is too much for the players coming from European countries. They'd fry in it like a roasted chicken. Heck, we're sweating just hearing about it. So authorities decided to move the World Cup from summer to December when the temperature was a little tolerable. Mind you, this was the first time in World Cup history that it wasn't played during the summer months. Not to mention, this decision majorly disrupted the roster for the year, where all the other football leagues, like the Premier League, took a 6-month hiatus. Number 3. Qatar has never qualified for the World Cup, like ever, until now when they decided to host the event. Over the years, the country's football association has tried to bring in players from other nations and neutralize them to boost their international football scene. Considering the fact that Qatar is very strict with their citizenship, this was quite the bend in the rules. In 2004, they attempted to bring Brazilian players 𝗓𝗓 and Leonardo to play on behalf of the country, even though neither had any ties to the nation. Desperate times, desperate measures. Number 4. Imagine yourself sitting and enjoying a football game from the front seat, and your team's winning. You want to celebrate with a mug of beer or 20, who cares? You're winning. Well, not if you're in Qatar. Qatar has some insane alcohol rules in this World Cup, where you can only drink after and before a match or in dedicated fan zones. Sorry, what? It's like inviting people to a birthday party and then serving them kale instead of cake. It's depressing. Number 5. If you have to pay people to attend your event, we'd say it's a sign not to go ahead with the event. Rumour has it that the state of Qatar is hiring fans to watch the game and support its ideas. And some 40-odd fans worldwide have signed up for this ridiculous offer. These fans will not just watch the game and stay in the country for 15 days, but also promote the same on their social media handles. And that's not all. Apparently, these fans have also had to call out everybody who is against the idea of having the Football World Cup in Qatar. So every time someone says, it's a bad idea to watch the Football World Cup from the stadium because there's no alcohol, because the country openly curses the LGBTQ community, and because we don't want to get roasted in the sun, these so-called fans will have to call them out and tell them to zip it up. Sounds a bit extreme, honestly. Number 6. It's difficult to host an international event of this scale in a small country like Qatar. It makes us question, do you have the resources? Do you have the strength to build something this big? Maybe, maybe not. But Qatar isn't a country to back out. So what do? They trap their workforce. That's right, while building a stadium big enough to host the World Cup, Qatar came up with a bizarre rule. Every time migrant laborers had to leave the country, they would need a visa approved by their employer. Yeah, like that's going to happen. The result was that people were slogging for 20 hours a day in inhuman conditions, inhaling all that dust and smoke, and working in heat that could burn their souls. This led to a massive 6,500 workers dying. Yeah, you heard that right. The country, instead of taking a stand and apologizing for this ridiculous law, went on record to say that these deaths were natural, and that's not all. There were reports that the families of these workers had to pay the government to get the bodies back home. What the heck? Number 7. FIFA is an inclusive organization. Maybe a bit corrupt, but who's counting? What? Did we make you scratch your head for a second there? In 2010, FIFA announced the host countries for 2018 and 2022, 8 years before the event was to happen. Sounds a bit weird, right? Many experts at that point thought that choosing these countries, especially Qatar, since it didn't even have a team good enough to qualify for the Cup, were chosen because of some money issues. And guess what? They were right. Reports from the FBI claimed that FIFA officials took approximately $150 billion worth of kickbacks in order to get everyone to vote for Qatar. We are just stating facts. Later, it was found that almost 2/3 of these people who voted for Qatar as host to the 2022 World Cup were later charged with counts of corruption. Why are we not surprised? You might think, okay, so there's corruption, human rights violations, bad weather, and too much money. So why are people still watching this game? A lot of fans are boycotting the World Cup, and many French countries have come up with campaigns against Qatar hosting the event. But in the end, it boils down to one question. Would you watch it for the love of football? Comment down with your answers, and don't forget to like and subscribe